like I'm not just lecturing, so we will have interactions also. So whenever you want, you can pose your question, you can directly start talking. So that's why we have not muted all, so you can unmute yourself and then can start talking and asking question. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see. All right. One thing I will ask you all to join the Google Classroom. We have prepared this SMAP machine learning Google Classroom. I hope everyone is able to see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Great, great.
Yes, yes.
So we have this Google Classroom. So we will share our some resources also here, and we have some assignments also for you. So that as we go ahead, we'll have some short assignments so that you can answer it, and then it will help us to understand what is the problem that you have not understood, what is the topic that you have not understood. So it will be helpful to me and to you, Gita, to go ahead. Okay. So we have sent an invitation to all so that you can join. All right, so let us start. Okay, so this is a journey as we all are eager to have. And during this lockdown period, we all facing the corona epidemic. We are going through this corona epidemic, and there is no normal. All will be new normals will be there. So we are traveling is also not that easy that it used to be. So therefore, I have said, I thought, let us take you to the journey on aeroplane so that you'll be happy. So it's a fly, we call it as IntelliFly. So it's an intelligence we're talking about, and it's true now. We are saying it is dumb. We are not anymore interested into that. So we are looking for a service which is intelligent. So therefore, it's like that's why pointed by Anika. She said that she don't want to be a dinosaur. She want to be. She want to know machine learning. So it's good that you all are here. So we move ahead. So it's IntelliFly, and as I said earlier, that it will be a bi-directional. So all of you have to talk also. So uh, can you identify this? Like I am going to show you pictures. So let me see if you can identify it. So we go ahead, and as soon as you identify, you can speak out.
That's Narendra Modi.
Yeah, it's Narendra Modi. Any other answer from anyone else?
India's Prime Minister.
Okay, great. Okay, so correct. You can unmute. Yeah, fine. If you just press space bar, temporarily your mic becomes unmute. So every time you don't have to go there and click on mute, unmute. So if you just press space bar, for that time your mic will be unmute. So it's easy for you to speak something immediately. And who is this?
Donald Trump,
Donald Trump.
America's president.
America's president.
Donald Trump.
how, which number it is? 44 or 42nd prime this president?
45th.
45th president. Okay, great. So we are able to identify these people with whom we have not met in person. Is it okay? It's correct. No, we have not met even Narendra Modi in person, nor Donald Trump in person, but we are able to recognize them. We are able to recognize them, and why we are able to recognize them? It's because we are we are able to collect the features. We are able to collect the features like, okay, the beard that Modi had, maybe the broad forehead Donald Trump had, and his hairstyle maybe. So we are not able to figure out maybe, but somehow in our brain we got some connection of our neurons. We have trillion number of neurons in our brain, and all these neurons establish connections with each other, and ultimately we are able to figure out something. When some connection is established, we are able to figure out something. So in this way, here we are able to figure out that the left image is Donald Trump and the right image is of Narendra Modi. So in this way, similarly, means it's like a difficult task for computer, by the way. Finding recognizing the images is really a very difficult task for computer. And actually, when we say machine learning, we want machine to learn the capabilities that a human being can do very easily. We as a human being can do this identification of face recognition, we can say, very quickly. Say for example, if you are in a big hall where there are more than 200 people are there, and you are looking for someone dear to you, say for your mother, father, or your wife or husband, you will be able to recognize the face out of that 200 crowd immediately. So you are scanning all the faces, your brain is scanning each and every face, and then it stops at your face which you are looking for. So in this way, it takes only few milliseconds to recognize a face from 200 or more people. So therefore, our brain has that capability. Whereas if you ask the same task to machine, it will take much more time. Like we are having some systems where they are giving face recognition. Say for example, some laptops are there where you can have your face as a lock. Even some mobiles are there where you can have your face as a lock. Okay. So in this way, if we go ahead, we are able to find out the features. So look here, what we have done. Our aim is to train machines to do the things which we do intelligently, which we do cleverly, which we do very easily. We must understand what we do to recognize. So as I said, we are identifying the features, as even if we are not able to list it out, but in our brain, without knowing or without not much listing out, we have identified some prominent figures of that particular face, and then we have used that prominent features to identify that face. Let's go ahead. I hope it makes sense to you. And if you have any problem, if you don't understand anything, then you can just interrupt me. We will move ahead a little bit. Now we are able to recognize two different faces. Two different faces. So let me take now. I'm going to ask you. Can you distinguish? So I will show you two images. I want answer from you. Can you distinguish? So let me take both images here. So tell me, what is this?
Rose and Lotus.
Okay, anyone else?
Same thing.
Same thing. Or any other answer?
In left rose and in right lotus.
Okay, left is rose and right is lotus. Correct. Anyone else?
There's a
Like to?
water. There are some leaves.
Hmm.
Okay, there are some kind of a trees in the background.
Okay, great.
Something like that.
Yeah, you are described it. It's great. Actually, when I say can you recognize, like in case of the faces, you recognize it, Narendra Modi and then the Donald Trump. Here, it's basically flower. It's basically flower, and you have not only recognize it as flower, but you have went ahead a step that you not only recognize them as flower, but you recognize them as lotus as well as rose. So it's like you are not only recognizing the images or the object as flower.
Skyscrapers and screen skyscrapers can do things as innocent use. He talks about we use screen scraper to keep editing the title name to have the number of views that it has, but there can be very malicious use of screen.
So it's not like you are not only recognizing the object, but you are able to classify them also. So here you have recognized the object that it's flower, and then you went ahead, you know the features, and then you said the left images of rose and the right images of lotus. So here you have additional capabilities, means you know the features of rose, you know the features of lotus, and therefore you went ahead and then you are able to classify also. So here additional uh, feature or additional capability of human being, we are not only recognizing the object, but we are able to classify them as we know the characteristics, or as we know the features of that particular object. So here you have identified few features on the left image, and then you classify it as rose. In right image also you have identified some features, because maybe the length of the sepal, maybe the length of the petal, and the way it is flourished in water or in mud. So it's a typical characteristics of lotus that it blooms in mud. So therefore you easily identified that it is lotus. So let us go ahead. So similarly, look here, that we are what we are doing is like we have had some features of every object in our mind or in our brain, and then every time we match those features. So what do you mean by feature? So feature are basically the characteristics that distinguishes, or that are the prominent features of that particular object, that helps us to distinguish that object from others. Okay, so let us say this one more example, because we will be dealing with it when we actually demonstrate or actually classify in future using Vika. So it's another type of flower that is called as iris flower. uh, this iris flower is very beautiful, and it has subcategories also. Now we are talking about subcategories of iris flower. So they say there are three subcategories of iris flower: iris versicolor, iris setosa, and iris virginica also there. So these three subcategories of iris flower are there, and we are able to subcategorize these flowers also. But for that we have to have some rules. We are not expert. Can we build an expert system, that's machine learning? Can we build a system that will identify, or that will subcategorize iris flower into these subcategories, that versicolor, setosa, and virginica? So let us see how we can do this. All right. So next, mm, it's making sense to you all?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So what's your
Yeah,
choice?
it's
Next is like, what's your choice? It's like two objects will come in front of you. So you tell me, everyone tell me what's your choice. So this is first one, and I'm not going to ask you what is this. Okay, so you have two choices in front of you.
The second one, the one on the right.
Okay, why, Sriya?
The reason is because, well, the first one looks like there's some sort of bug inside of it. I mean, I'm not entirely sure, but the other one looks like a normal fruit. So I picked the one that looks normal.
Okay. Anyone else? What's your choice?
Probably the second one, because it has the shape of an apple. So in my head, I don't want to try something new. I want to try the thing I'm familiar with. So the second one.
Okay.
I would say the first one.
Okay.
It looks like a coconut.
Yeah, it's coconut. It's a coconut, and then you can cut it, and then you will get fresh water. Then it's a more powerful, more natural water. So you cut it, and then you can get. There are two types over here, and that's why it's your choice. It's like you can get only water. It's full of water, and the other is like there is some cream also in that. So that cream is like a coconut cream is there inside. So you can just go ahead and then get extract it out, and then you can eat it also. So some people like that eating the cream also, and some people only want to drink water. So whenever you go to the people who is selling this coconut, so that particular fellow is a very illiterate man. He is just selling. He is not literate, but he knows. So there are hundreds of coconuts will be there in front of him, and if you go and say, I want to purchase coconut, then he will ask you a typical question, whether you want a coconut with only water or a coconut with cream. In India we say that it's पानी वाला चाहिए या मलाई वाला चाहिए. So it's now it's very interesting, So if I say I want malai wala with cream, so what he does, he pick up the coconut in hand, and then he pat on that coconut, and he looks for some peculiar sound. He is looking for some peculiar sound, and he feels that okay, it's not cream inside, then he will put it down and he will pick up another one, and then he'll again pat on it and try to guess whether this coconut will have cream inside or not, because you have to cut it and then you will be able to understand whether it has cream or water only. But without cutting the coconut, the seller, who is a maybe boy of 15 or 16 year, who is illiterate, who doesn't go to school, not able to read, but he is able to understand whether there will be only water inside of this fruit, or there will be cream and water inside the fruit. So how he is able to do this? It's not like we have able to identify people like Modi and Trump. We are able to identify the rose and lotus, but here we are not talking about only what we see, but something additional, and we are able to classify, means a human being, a one who is intelligent in that, is able to identify whether there will be cream or only water in the fruit, inside the fruit, without cutting it. So that's interesting. And here, for that particular purpose, that fellow, that the seller, as I said, he must be looking some features that will help him to understand that this coconut contains only water, and this coconut contain water plus cream. So what are the features might be? So maybe the color, as a few of you have said that the one which is left looks better and one which is right is looks better because of the color, because of the volume also, maybe the shape is maybe the another feature. And as I said, the sound, because he, when he puts takes it in hand, maybe that weight also might be helping him or might be helping the seller to understand whether this particular fruit has only water or cream. Therefore, here we are talking about feature, not only that we see, but a feature. It's a sound feature now here, because we are talking about a feature maybe that is a significant feature, that is a prominent feature that distinguishes a coconut with water, with only water, from a coconut with water and cream. So that particular sound, when you tap on it, then you get a peculiar sound, and then that his ear are trained to distinguish by listening the sound. So this is important. So we are now going ahead, and we want a classification not only based on the physical or visible features, not only on visible features, but we want classification based on those features that are not only visible, but we can listen it, we can sense it, because when he put it, take it on hand, he sense it. So the features that our all sensory organs are getting, so the features are not only visible features, but other features are also important, and that contributes in classification. All right, so let's move ahead. Okay, so we are on journey. This IntelliFly, I want to tell you. Okay, this is again interesting. We are talking about, we look for features up till now which are visible. Means we are using the sensory organ eye for capturing the features. But in case of coconut, we have used our ear also and our hand also to capture some features. So that's why the sensors are important. So the sensor gives us some additional information, some features, and then we will be able to decide which feature is prominent, and we can go for that particular feature. Here, in this case, we are talking about corona, and as we all know that this particular virus uh, attacks on our lungs, and therefore I have X-ray images of lung, and it is, people are working on it, and in some countries they have allowed this particular method of using X-ray to quickly identify whether the patient is corona positive or not. But here, as I said, from my naked eyes, I'm not able to distinguish it. But if I am able to get some features from this, like the intensity of the darkness, maybe the area of darkness, there are some white spots over there. So the size of that white spot, there are some other features, like when you talk about image processing, like I'm going to process this image, and I will be able to get hundred numbers of features out of this, and will be able to find out those characteristics that will helpful to me to distinguish between these two X-rays. So therefore, as we are moving ahead, we are understanding the importance of features. And if we want to train our machine, if we want to do machine learning, what is more significant or what is important is to identify the features and work on those features. If we are able to train our machines by giving the features, then it will be helpful for us to develop intelligent systems. So this, if a machine comes, if you have a machine that identifies if you give X-ray to the machine, and if it tells you that the left one is corona positive and the right one is not corona positive, it's an intelligent machine, isn't it? So in this way, we are able to build intelligent machine if we are able to capture the characteristics, if we are able to capture the features. Okay, but as I said, we have, it's a complex one, it's not easy always to capture the features. So for example, this is a case, and I said this, can you guess, what is the scenario? What is the scenario, left and right?
At the left one, they're at a bank, and at the right one, it seems like they're at a lawyer's office.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, both scenarios are from bank. They just have come and they are asking for loan. So the bank officer is sitting there, and they are customer. Both are customer. Left side and right side, it's a customer, and they are coming to bank. They have approached to bank, and they are asking for loan. And now, as a manager, you have to guess whether the customer is genuine or not, because there are fraudulent customers whose intention is bad, that they want to apply and get loan from the bank, and they will not repay. It's like they call it as willful defaulters. Obviously the number of willful defaulters are less as compared to normal genuine customers, but as a bank manager, you want some system in your hand, on your machine, that will help you to understand the intention of the person. Look here, now what we are trying to get, the intention of person, intention of a customer. Up till now we were talking about all things which are very straightforward, but now we are talking about the intention of the person, like whether this person is a genuine person, or this person would like to is going to not repay my loan. He's not a good person, he's not genuine, he's a defaulter, he may go defaulter. So in this way, it's like now there are, we collect a lot of papers from him, like what is your financial status and all. The bank collects everything. Nowadays in India we have a system called as CIBIL score, like what is his last credit structure, whether he paid earlier loans properly or not, whether his overall footprints in this financial sector are good or not. So that is with us. But anytime any person can become defaulter, willful defaulter. So we need some help from machine. Can we identify some traits? Like there are some cases in every bank, in history of every bank, that there will be few defaulters, and can we match those defaulters uh, transaction with these people transaction, so that we will be able to identify, or we will be able to guess whether this particular person may be defaulter, may go defaulter in future. So now we are expecting more from our machines. We are expecting lot of from our machines nowadays. So we have to see if we can do that one. It's again a same case, like for this course, we have advertised, like we put about this course, the information about course in few groups. If I want to advertise, means say for example I have a particular budget for my advertisement, say I have only say $50,000 with me, or 50,000 rupees with me, and I have to advertise a particular product, then if I am able to understand that this product may be of interest to the group which is at left, and not to the group which is at right. So I will be advertising, I will reach out only to the group at left. I will not go to the group which is at right side in right image. So it's like targeted audience. I know the targeted audience to whom I have to target. Okay. So if I'm able to understand my target audience, that instead of spending 50,000 rupees on these 50 people and these 50 people, on 100 people, and spending 50,000 on 100 people, it would be better if I spend that 50,000 on 50 people only. Those are more likely to go for my product or go for my service. So here I want to find out target audience. There are thousand number of customers, or like as I said, like we want to advertise about our course. Then we have approach to like maybe Ashutosh might have approached to many people. We have approached to many people. So if we would have known that this group would be more interested, then we will be approaching only to those group. Okay. So this is how if it will help me. So if my machine would tell me that instead of approaching these people, it would be better if we approach these people, because these people are more likely to buy or more likely to subscribe your service or your product. So in this way, it's a target audience. And as I said, large number of people are there, and you want to find some groups, that this is a group interested in, say, for example, sports. This is a group which is interested in, say, study or in music. So accordingly, we will be approaching those people so to sell the service or to give the service. So in this way, I want my machine to help me in deciding or in identifying the groups, interested groups. Those are will be of my interest. Fine. So here also we will need some feature, as I said, to find out a group who are interested in music. So I might be having a profile of each user, and there will be their hobby will be music. So I'm grouping those people, those who are having interest in music. So here also I'm looking for features. So everywhere, whatever points I'm going to describe or showing you, there will be features, and you need to understand the, and you need to always look for underlying features. So what might be the features they have collected to make it possible? Every time you, when you talk about machine learning, you try to understand the underlying features, and you should ask yourself what are the features that might help to make this intelligent system. All right. Again, I think, I hope every one of you have used the e-commerce sites, and maybe Amazon also for purchasing books, or e-commerce site for purchasing some material. Whenever you buy something, there are some recommendations for you, that these many people have purchased this one, those who have purchased this, they have purchased this also. So here we want to have a recommendation system. So this recommendation system is an intelligent system, because the recommendation system knows that this particular at the right have purchased A, B, and C. Okay, the shapes are also same, A, B, and C, not only the product. And this, a girl at left, she has purchased A and B. So is it possible, or does my system will recommend her C also? If our system is not intelligent, then my system will be happy only as she is purchasing A and B. As my system is not intelligent, she will not recommend anything for to that girl. But if my system is intelligent, on which you are doing this service or this selling and purchasing, then the system will recommend C also to this girl. Those who have purchased A and B also have purchased C. So are you interested? So maybe out of 100, 40 will purchase. So still it's okay, because if you have not shown this C, you might have got 0 sale, but now you have got 40 sale. So in this way, this recommendation system help. So why you are able to recommend? Because you have kept a track. You have kept a track of people and their purchasing pattern. You are keeping a track, your system is keeping a track of purchasing pattern of your customers. What they purchase, how they purchase, lot of things, many features. Go on e-commerce site, they are capturing lots of features from you. So here, these features will help to develop a recommendation system that whatever A and B and C are purchased together, so let us recommend C also to this customer. Maybe he will be interested or she will be interested in that one. So let us go ahead and let's see. Okay, so here we are, as I said, it's in India, we say ye dil mange more. Like the machines are giving us service and they are giving intelligent service. So nowadays we are expecting a lot from machines, and that's why this machine learning is flourishing, and that's why everyone want to learn machine learning. Like in this case, in this case, it's a tweet, and the company want to understand by the looking at the content of the tweet whether this tweet is a query, whether this tweet is a complaint, whether this tweet is a suggestion or appreciation or something else. Okay, so accordingly it can be acted upon. Okay, so whether it's query, suggestion, complaint, whatever you can have, a notice like of thing. So if you are now want to get features from what is written over there, so there are say almost 20 number of words, maybe hundreds of characters, and you want to classify or you want to put this tweet under some category, whether it is complaint or maybe query or notice or appreciation. What are the categories that company might have? So we are expecting that machine not only read this, or it should classify. So we have opinion category, mark category, complaint category, suggestion category, news category, and query category. And in this case, the machine have correctly put this particular tweet in query category, and it's query like the Walter is asking to Amazon help that he is moving to Amsterdam, that is Netherlands, and which Amazon website I should use, whether it should be Dutch file, means if I use Netherlands site, Dutch site, it only offers book, but I want to purchase grocery or something else. So whether should I apply, look for Germany, France, or UK, nearby countries. So Dutch site does not help me. So I should use Germany, France, or UK. So it's a query. So you can see the machine have correctly identified the intent. Look here, we are talking about intent analysis classifier. So it's a similar one like when we talk about a customer who have approached to you as a bank manager to get the loan. So we said that can we understand the intent of the person. Here also we are, by looking the tweet, where we want the system to understand the intent and then automatically classify. So it's like we are expecting a lot from our machines, and it's like this is also another one. Can you guess what is it?
Is this a thermal camera or like measuring heat or something?
Okay, thermal camera. Anyone else want to guess what is this?
A carbon footprint.
Okay, carbon footprint. Yeah. Okay.
Climate
anyone
system.
else?
Is this climate system?
Climate system. No, it's okay. Okay.
Or it could be analysis.
Analysis of what? Sandeep?
A mechanical, or it's like a load analysis?
Okay, fine. It's all are like a good try. It's a sound wave actually. It's a sound pattern, and it's a urban sound that we generally in urban areas we listen these sounds. And the upper and there is a classification system. I will share that resource to you so that you can just see that and how it works. So I have a classification system that listen the sound, listen the sound, and that sound is like it's on x-axis. On x-axis, this is time. So it's a 60-second wave file. It's a wave file actually. It's a 60-second wave file. And on the y-axis, you can see the hertz. It's hertz. What is the frequency of that particular sound wave? So we have two sound waves, and they have classified it correctly. The upper one is a AC sound. When the AC is on, it's sound. It's a AC sound wave, and the lower one is dog barking. Dog barking. So so the sound wave means like it's like the sound wave is captured as an image. They create a histogram of it, and then classifying this image will help you to classify the sound. So this is how we are moving, like the features, like the sound wave features we have captured, and then we have considered it as an image. Here also, we want to see the movie, and obviously we ask our friends like, have you seen this movie? What is your opinion? So we are always go based on reviews. So we read reviews also, and based on reviews we just go ahead. And generally the reviewers write a lot about the review. So this is a review written by Phil Cortolo, and he has written a lot. Means I have a snapshot of it. Like he has written more than that about this film, but I'm not interested in reading all that. I want a straightforward answer whether I should watch or not, yes or no. Okay, so it's a sentiment analysis. I'm saying, like, I want whatever you have written, I will give it to a machine, all your words and all your features. So these all words are features here. So I will just put all these 5,000 characteristics to a machine, and I am expecting my machine to tell me that whether I should see it or not see it, whether I should see it or avoid it. So I'm expecting a very straightforward answer, yes or no kind of answer here. So my machine will be able to tell me that. So in this way, here also we are actually finding out the features. We are talking about features. So we'll see one example. We'll see some demonstration also. So in this all, I have presented in this presentation basically something for you to think upon, that we are actually uh, we are actually getting services of such type which are intelligent, but somehow we didn't notice it somehow. So maybe like in school if you go, or in college or in office you go, there are no biometrics. So you put your thumb there and it scans your thumb, it makes an image, and then it finds out the features of that your image. So your thumb image and another person thumb image. So there are different features in your thumb image, and different another values for the feature in another person's thumb image, and it will classify you as Manish Joshi, and it will classify another thumb as Khisti, Ashutosh Khisti's image. So in this way, it is the system that we are using, we are almost everyone have exposed to these biometric systems. Even your laptop also have that particular biometric system, as a password type of thing, protection type of thing. So we are using many systems that are intelligent in nature. So I have walked through you many sort of applications, and now I request you to list out list out a few application, at least 3 applications that you use and have machine learning components into it. So all these application or all these services that we discussed, or or whatever I have presented, it has a machine learning component. As I said, I want machine to do this, like face recognition, I want machine to do this, and there are some applications where machine do face recognition. Even as I said, a laptop has that particular face recognition, mobile have that particular face recognition. I have said I want to have some groups. There are some applications where you can get grouping intelligently. So just go ahead and write down at least 3 applications that you have used or that you have seen that have machine learning components into it. Okay. So let us have a 5-minute break, so that you can write it down, and then, as I said, you can as I said that you can I will post this question on our Google Classroom also, so you can upload there also. So I will write I will, as I said, this Google Classroom. Those who have not joined this Google Classroom can join this one using this particular code. Okay. Those who have not joined to this Google Classroom can join this one. It's like classroom.google.com. If you open in your browser, classroom.google.com, and then join class, will be a plus sign. And if you just use this class code, you will be able to join this Google Classroom. So here you can I will pose that question, but I want you to write at least 3 applications that you use and have machine learning component into it. So let us have, in 5 minutes I will come back, and then we'll go ahead. So anyone would like to share what
Oh, one of the
applications?
ones. Oh, sorry. But one of the ones I thought of was Netflix, and it's because Netflix uses a machine learning type algorithm to recommend what you need to watch based on the things you've already watched. And it also takes it a step further. When they produce a TV show, they shoot many pictures to promote the show. So some shows are very versatile in that they have comedy and they have like suspense and like detective work and stuff. So if you watch a lot of detective shows, it'll recommend the show to you with the detective picture. And if you watch a lot of comedy shows, it'll recommend the comedy like picture for the same TV show.
Okay, great. So Netflix, like it's an application which is not a typical computer one. So it's a Netflix. When you watch something, it gives you what is your liking. So it's a personalization. We call it as personalization. So your machine learning has reached want you to develop a personalized system. So it will be a customer will be happy if he has a feeling that his interests are taken care of. So whatever you are interested in, you are seeing those movies recommended to you, as Sriya rightly pointed out. So good, Sriya, great. Anyone else? You have to write down three applications, as I said. So write down on paper, and maybe you can take a snapshot of it, and then you can upload on Google Classroom when I will pose a question. Who else want to share?
I think YouTube also uses machine learning. If you visit a e-commerce website, if you search for a product on it, then while you're watching YouTube videos, you get that recommended uh, there. I think YouTube algorithm uses machine learning to learn what products you view, and then it shows you in your ads.
Yeah, great. Yes. Mukesh, it's correct. Like whenever, and it's like not only YouTube. When you see some product on YouTube, you see the advertisement. Even if your mail, say if you write a mail about something for an amount, and in your mail also Gmail, after a few days you will be able to see some forex advertisement, or you will be able,
Yes,
when
yes.
if you talk something about MBA, and then later on automatically after a few days you will be able to see some. So the content of mail means there was a sort of people were angry, are you reading our mails? Then Google have to come forward and then tell, no, we are not reading it, our machine is reading. Means we are reading it but not as a human being. So machines are reading it, and then we are using it for the advertisement purpose. So it's intelligent system you Google has developed. Yeah. Say something.
Uh, Another example is Amazon app or Amazon website. If we try to buy something, it will give us suggestions and a recommendation that other people brought this item, and it will suggest us to buy more or buy different items.
Yeah, Sandeepji, correct. So
Um,
it's a
the one I chose was Google because if I search up a question, it uses sentiment analysis to build up a paragraph from some website and show that to me at the very top, and that way I could see my answer clearly and very easily.
okay. Yeah, Anika. Actually, Google, means we write some question and it searches. But that search was not that intelligent initially. They use a page ranking algorithm. Yeah, it's a algorithm, but what we in real sense when we say machine learning, it was not a machine learning. It was a algorithm called as page ranking algorithm, which Larry Page and Sergey Brin has took as a project, and then they developed a company out of it. So this page ranking algorithm actually looks on the keywords and those pages which are referring back again. So this is a page ranking algorithm, but in initially it was only that algorithm when they started in 1990 or 2000, but later on they have incorporated intelligence into it, because again Google has also, whenever you open a Google page, it has personalized it. So if you are always looking particular website or searching for something, those will come in front of you. So it's like again Google has personalized it for you. So that personalization is machine learning application. Yeah, anyone else? Yeah,
Yeah,
Ashutosh.
Manish, yeah, sometimes back I have attended some Microsoft seminars, and they mention, especially they have come up with the cognitive services, and the one usage prominently in some of the malls in the US. There is a a directory service, there is a huge display, and there is a display of all the stores. You can find out at which floor and which location, and at the same time customer stands in front of you. They will take your image, process it, and they will find out your mood, and based on that mood they will target you the advertisement.
Yeah.
So this is even happening without even knowing the person what's going on.
Yes, yes. Like you don't know. Like rightly pointed about Ashutosh is correct. Like you don't know, but they are not only getting your profile by when you write anything, when you answer some, you fill up some form, but as you click on your web page, whatever on page you are, and if you are clicking, so what is your click pattern? Like you are clicking first on the left bar and then go to the extreme right, and then you click there, and then you come down and then you click there. So whatever you are clicking on a web page, so every click is monitored, is used for analysis purpose, and then it is called as, they form a sort of graph, network graph, and then they, based on that also, they decide the location of advertisement. Like on a page you see a number of advertisement, but the location of advertisement, that where that particular advertise should be kept, on the left bar, right bar, or on the top. So the location of the ad is also decided based on this click analysis, like where people generally go, where people, so where people generally visit, which part of the web page is viewed. So this is all analyzed. Okay. And as Ashutosh was talking about, they take an image, like even there are system product on airport also, there are systems that will scan as from mob. If you want to find out a person whose intention is not okay, is not genuine, like he has some ill intention in his mind, and he is traveling alongside with general people. So if your system should be able to identify a person out of say 100 or 1,000 number of people who are going, uh, to identify a particular person who has some bad intention. So there are some features, like a person who is having some particular bad intention, so how he walks, how he is walking fast, or how his face looks like. So in this way everything is watched, and your system, you are trying to have an intelligent systems. So that's the correct answer. Like I mean, this is correct answer, it means it's a good answer, like so that we can have insight of this new application also. Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess some applications ask you in advance beforehand while joining. They ask you what are your preferences. Like there's an app called as InShot. It's an app for reading news. So it shows you the news within 60 words. So while joining up, only while signing up, it asked me what are my preferences. So what genres I would like to what genres I would like to look into, and
Yes.
what will be on my feeds. So that it asked me beforehand while signing up.
And then then the system has provided you whatever you are, what
Yes.
are your likings, based on your
Yes.
likings. Yeah, means it's like they have asked you, but sometimes they guess it. It's like they have asked your genre, and then you provided that I want to listen about sports, but sometimes most of the time
Do it
nowadays,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They ask for age and location. So according to age, they.
Yeah. So it's like more intelligent, because if they ask and then they provide, it's not intelligent that way.
Yes, sir.
Any other domain application that you have come across? Because we have people from different domain also here. Where in your own domain you have come up with some application which you think it's intelligent.
I think a good example of an intelligent machine would be a water heater. Until it reaches a certain temperature, after it reaches a certain temperature, it automatically switches off. So there might be some intelligent machine inside it that would be telling the heater to stop after this point has been after this point has reached, after this certain degree of temperature has reached. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. There are some AC machines nowadays. Otherwise you have to fix the temperature, that 25, then you say no, after some time you say no, it's heat, so 24, 23, 22, it goes on, and then at night it cools, so you say go ahead and make it 23, 24, 25, like that. But I want a AC that will sense my body temperature and adjust accordingly. So it's like a pattern, like say for example, for 3 days how I am setting the temperature, and based on that it learns from that, and accordingly from 4th day it will say, okay, I have learned whatever your likings are, what you prefer to have, what temperature you would like to have prefer. So accordingly I will set. So your body temperature, it will be sensing your body temperature and accordingly setting the room temperature. So in this way, this is intelligence. So there are intelligent systems available. AC machines are available. Anyone else? There are a lot of, like, we use those intelligent systems. So I'm expecting more from you.
So I'm working in banking domain. We have an authentication system. So what it does, if a customer is trying to log in for the first time, or maybe let's say if I have a profile with XYZ Bank, and if I'm trying to log in from a new machine which is not in their database, then they will step up the authentication. They will ask for the OTP.
Okay. Yes.
And if I'm trying to log in from the same machine which is already there in their database, then they won't ask me for the OTP. That is one option. And second is if I'm trying to log in, if my customer profile, they have a risk score assigned to each profile. If for some reason due to some fraudulent activity, if my risk score is higher, so regardless of whether I'm logging in from the same machine or a new machine,
yes,
will ask for OTP.
Great. Yeah. Based on your transaction history, the system have trained that what is the general transaction pattern. Like if some customer all of a sudden is trying to withdraw 95% of amount that he has or she has all of a sudden, or in last say 10 years she's withdrawing say 10% up to 5% of amount what she has in her deposit, and all of a sudden she come up with a transaction that is 95% of money I want to withdraw, or 99% of money I want to withdraw. So it's something which is not common, exceptional situation. The system should understand that, and the system should at least pose a question like what Upendra was talking, like it pose OTP, it asks for OTP. So this is a intelligent system. Even like in banking, the check clearance is now automated. Earlier your check used to be authorized by a bank manager, like a human being. So human being will see the signature on the check, and then will cross check with whatever is in your machine, in your bank account. It will match the signatures manually, and if it's okay, then it will authorize that particular transaction. But now it has completely automated. It's completely automated. Means there is no human intervention. Your check is there, the signature is matched automatically. So this is very intelligent one. Means the signatures, because otherwise also we know that the signatures are very cryptic in nature and very difficult to even match. So the machines are doing it. It's intelligent systems. Anyone else?
Yes, in automobile sector, there is a cruise control or park assist in vehicles, number of vehicles. So I think this also control on intelligence or any system. I
Yes.
think this is the best.
Yes. Yeah, yes, Bharat, it's correct. Like even we have now the FASTag systems on the we have toll gates where you have to pay the money, and they have identified the toll gates. There are FASTag systems. The sensor just scans it and then automatically deduct it and then let it go. So that's an image classification. Even there are some in US or in North America, this signal is, if you cross a signal, then it takes a photo of your number plate and then it sends a challan to you at your home. Even in India, we have that particular system in certain signals. Like if you cross the signal, if you break the signal, and then it will automatically, a challan will send to your home. So there will be no human intervention. So in this way, that's an intelligent system, that it has identified the image and it has then decoded it to whose it is, and then it sent the challan. Anyone else?
Another example is Tesla. They have implemented very large machine learning. It identifies vehicles in front of it, around radar system, sensors, a lot of things.
Yeah. I'm expecting a sort of like a automobile engineer. Varad is also here. So like we have humanless cars. We are expecting to have it. So those are again intelligent system, because they have visionary sensors, and then it will collect a lot of information from different, and then will drive automatically, driverless cars. All right. Anyone else want to contribute again? And then otherwise we'll move ahead. I'm expecting a very popular application that most of you have used, but I'm not getting that answer yet.
Is it TikTok?
TikTok, yeah, it's okay, but I'm not expecting this one. But TikTok is also intelligent, yeah. It's basically just a minute. It's like basically personalization. Whenever you see some personalization, that it has identified your personal requirement, or it has understood your personal preferences and accordingly delivering you that service, then it's personalization. And wherever there is a personalization, there is intelligence incorporated. Yeah,
so can we call Siri as the more personalized one for everybody in iPhones?
Siri, yeah. It understand whatever what questions you have asked, and accordingly maybe it helps you. Siri is correct.
I think Zoom also,
yeah, go ahead.
Zoom also use intelligent, like you can change the background, and it will change background and only keep the human face or human body in the video, and everything on the background can be whatever background you select, space or you are on the beach, that will show that way.
Actually, this one is more of a image type of thing. Image basically also it incorporates sort of lot of complex algorithm it involves. But whenever you say machine learning, because the machine has to learn something. It's like a algorithm that has put your face in front of some background. It requires a lot of complex algorithm, but it's not that sort of learning. We will see some examples of learning, then you will understand it more, Sandeep.
Oh, somebody mentioned Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Facebook is also. I thought that's what you meant when you said it's something that is popular amongst us. Did anyone say it yet?
Yeah, fine, but I'm not. You still not got whatever in my mind. So that sense you are not intelligent, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm looking for an application which you use Uber. So whenever you call, when you want a taxi, so you go on mobile, you click the location, it finds the shortest route. It finds out whatever the number of taxi drivers, taxis are around you, proximity, find out the one which one is more suitable. So it's all are this, everything is intelligent in that case, and it's very because we are all almost use this one. So I was expecting this application from you as an intelligent system. All right, so we have a list of lot of many applications. So I expect you to write 3 which you like most, which you feel, oh wow, so I want those 3 on your list, and then you have to upload that on your on the Google Classroom when I will ask about it. All right, we'll move ahead. Basically now we talk about machine learning. It's lot of application. This exercise or this presentation was just to show you how significantly or how machine learning have captured our life. It's everywhere now. You just go you step out of your room and it's there. So everywhere it is there. In your bed also it is there. As I said that your room temperature, the AC works based on your room temperature. So everywhere there is machine intelligence or machine learning, and want to just understand what actually it is. So I have a presentation, how we are going to develop it, and accordingly we will move ahead. So I hope it's okay. So is anyone want to comment? So otherwise we'll go ahead. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Go ahead and excuse me, this one. We will have a presentation. Yeah, it's a lot of few slides where I will just explain what we mean actually by machine learning. So this is a typical triangle that we have. We do have data at the base. Then from data we can extract information from knowledge and wisdom. So it's the typical triangle. We call this as a typical term. There are a lot of terms over there. They call it as knowledge discovery and data mining, KDD. KDD is a popular term here. We talk about pattern recognition, and then machine learning, machine intelligence also, data mining. A lot of words are there, but they mean same: knowledge discovery and data mining. So how this process, knowledge discovery and data mining? So we have a raw data, and then we transform it somehow. We use some algorithms that we are talking about. So that's what machine learning is. And then we get some pattern and rules, and then we get some classification. We get some groups form. So some intelligent output. So that we call it as knowledge. So it's a journey from data to knowledge. This is how we are doing. And as I said, this is a typical terms that we will be using: clustering, classification are data mining tasks that can be used on large voluminous data. So first time I have used the word clustering and classification. So these are typical applications of machine learning. This is a definition of what actually data is: a raw material. Information is an organized way of data. Look, up till now, we have a lot of data, and then manager don't want to see that data as a transaction, so they want it in the form of report. So that data is grouped together in a way I want, or in a way the manager want, and then the data is presented to the manager, and then the manager will present it to the director or some wherever you want. So the data is converted. A lot of data we collect from different sources, like we can connect from our sensors, and then we convert. Then the computers are used for converting data into information. So it's just for presentation. So whatever, so like for example, what is my quarterly sale? I am not interested in my daily sale, and I have, say for example, 1,000 number of outlets. So I'm not interested of a particular outlet. So I have 1,000 number of outlet, and 1,000 number of products I'm selling every day. I'm not interested is 1,000 into 1,000. What I am interested at the end of quarter, that last quarter my sale was this many dollars, and this quarter my sale is this many dollars. So that particular information only I wanted. At the top level, we have wanted a summary. So that information is generated from our transactions, daily transactions that are there. But this information is only used for presentation purpose, that I want to tell to my director, I want to show it to my customers, or like whatever. But it will not helpful for making decision. So like the third one, knowledge, information that can be acted upon. Look here, like I have 1,000 number of outlets, 1,000 number of products, but if I understand that out of these 1,000 outlet and 1,000 number of products, a particular product, that is atom number, say for example 726, is not sold in 999 outlets. Whenever it's only information, you just have the summary, but now you want to know which products are more on demand, which product is not at all in demand, and then you understand. So this is an information that can be acted upon. Like now know that out of 1,000 number products I have, the atom number 726, whatever it may be, is sold only in one outlet, and still I have that one. So it's again to the manager now, and it's being prepared everywhere. Maybe like that you are procuring raw material for that particular atom in every outlet. So it's up to the manager. Means it's like a information that can be acted upon. So it's a knowledge now that I have came to know. Means the system maybe has given me this information. Okay, look, out of this 1,000, this 726 is being sold at only one outlet, and then the manager will have to look upon it and then have to act upon it. So that's a knowledge. Means it's now we are not only interested in information like a tabulated report. We are not interested in report only. That's okay. Means now we know that computer is able to give me that, but now we want something additional from the computer, that you tell us something that we don't know. Tell us something that we don't know. So you tell me, okay, your particular atom is very popular, so you can go for something. You can have some outlet or some, or you tell me out of I have 1,000 outlet. Then tell me if I want to start new outlet, which area I should target. So tell me that. So I'm looking for something additional that I don't know. Okay, so that's knowledge, and then wisdom is something more than that, in distilled and integrated knowledge. Okay, fine. So we'll move ahead. Yeah. And then why data mining? Yeah, there are a lot of examples that we have seen. Almost it helps to extract such information. What type of information? Like one bank example was there, and we talked an example in our IntelliFly also, that credit and out of fraudulent cases, defaulter, we're talking about defaulter. Given a database of 100,000 names, which person are the least likely to default on their credit cards? So we have 100,000 number of customers, and out of that I want to know which person may be defaulter. So the case we discussed in case of bank also. So if it comes for credit or some loan or for credit card, whether I should give credit card or what should be the limit of that credit. So everything will, I need some help, I need additional help. Okay, so that's why we talk about intelligent. Identify likely responder for self promotion. As I said, a group we want targeted as targeted audience. Fraud detection, yeah, is like one which I said, that all of a sudden 99% of savings you are withdrawing. So it's just something that you should ask manager to notice it, should observe it, should take a stock of it, should review the transaction. Otherwise it will be difficult. And like customer relationship management, which customers are more like, as I said, personalization. So if I go to particular shop or particular service provider very often, then I expect that service provider or that shop owner should give me some personalized service, should give some personalization. So if that shop owner or that service owner is not able to provide me that service, then there are a lot of other service providers. They are approaching to me. Okay, sir, what you want, madam, what you want, and we can provide you the personalized service. Then we will be in a position to move to that service provider. So it's like competition is there, and then those who will provide you personalized service will maintain. So it's a customer relationship management. So therefore we want to some pattern, something interesting, something very novel should come out, and that's why we call it as knowledge discovery and data mining. And a lot of applications we discussed, like banking, customer relationship, targeted marketing. In manufacturing and production also, we say automatically adjust knobs when process parameters change. Okay, yeah, it's like in medicine also it is there. In case of testing also it is used. We have seen one application like corona, like even breast cancer, like here it's almost automated. Say for example, there are large number of cases of breast cancer all over the world. So they take X-ray, it is called as mammogram, and then if in mammogram, if you found a tumor, if you found a tumor, then it is checked whether it is malignant tumor or benign tumor. Malignant means it is cancerous, and a benign tumor means a tumor, there is a tumor but it is not cancerous, and then it's okay. So there are systems, automated systems are there, where you can where the machine will tell you, it will take a mammogram and then immediately it will tell, without oncologist, it will tell you that it's okay, this tumor is benign tumor or this tumor is malignant tumor. And the accuracy of these particular systems are like more than 90%, 95% some cases. So it's almost very accurate prediction. And even if, like we, as I said, we always look for more. So one oncologist approach us that, okay, it's benign tumor, then you classify it as benign and malignant. But the benign tumors are also subclassified, and some of those benign tumors may turn into malignancy if proper precautions are not taken. So can you analyze those benign tumors? Can you subclassify them? So therefore, one of my PhD students have worked on it, and then we have subclassified it. So initially, we give a mammogram, the system tells us whether it is benign and malignant, and if it is benign, then again it subclassify that it's okay, it's FCC type or it's another adrenalina type, and so these different types are benign types are there, and then the oncologist is now able to understand, okay, if it is a particular type, benign type, then he will say, okay, it it may turn into malignancy. Therefore, you keep in visiting me after a few months or like that one. So in this way, it helps in analysis of patient disease. Also, sometimes like you have some symptom today, next visit you have some particular symptom, in third visit you have particular symptoms. Now the machine, it has identified like if you have particular symptoms in visit, then it may lead to some another disease. So that also machines are able to tell. So this type of mining, or it's this type of analysis or intelligence machines can help. Pharmaceutical, molecular, like new drugs identifying, scientific data analysis, identify new galaxies by searching for subclusters. Yeah, it's like yeah, have you seen the image of or galaxies are there? So it's like one person, our moon, India's moon mission was there, and NASA, our ISRO people have like announced that they have lost connection, and now this fellow, a fellow of around 20-23 years, looked at the images given by NASA and generated by ISRO, and then he come up and then he told ISRO that the lunar, the object that we have posted on moon is still there, and by looking at the images, by analyzing those images, so that's a sort of intelligent application that he has used. So that's how it will. As I told you, website and store design and promotion. It's like I said that they identify where you click and all that advertisement. So this major task of machine learning, if we find out all the applications which we discussed in up till now, and even in my presentation in Teleply, and then you listed out, we can say that there are classification application. So all image classification was there. So it's a classification predicting an atom class. So it's face of Narendra Modi or Donald Trump, it was classification. It was a rose or lotus, it is classification. If it is iris, which subcategory, it is classification. Then the coconut, we have seen that whether it is milk, whether it is cream or only water, it was a classification. There are some clustering, and as I said, then later it was sentiment analysis and everything. The clustering is finding clusters in data. The target audience, we have say 100,000 people, and we want to find out a group of customers which will be of my interest. So finding clusters in data, so that is called as clustering. And this is association mining. It's interesting. Association mining will tell us that if you go into supermarket and then you buy product A and product B, then there are chances that you are going to buy product C also. So they call it as MBA, market basket analysis. What products goes together in the cart? What product goes together in the cart? So how products are associated, how closely they are associated with each other. So A and B and C, how they are closely associated with each other. So that association mining helps the shop owners also to arrange their products and to recommend you also like that. It's visualization. If a data is given to you in terms of tabular format, row by row, then it's not very easy for a human being. Human being generally like to see the patterns, see the graph, and then understand more from that. So therefore, that's why in every application you can see nowadays dashboards are there, and on dashboard you can see some circles are there, some graphical representation is there. So that knowledge discovery and data mining task, visualization is there, that you will be able to visualize your data. And after visualizing that data, you can see, okay, you can have insight of your data, and then you can take some certain decision. Estimation, deviation detection, finding change. Like as I said, 95% of amount is being extracted, is being withdrawn. There is a request. So it's a deviation detection. Generally, your pattern is like you are always withdrawing 10%, 20% amount, and all of a sudden you are extracting 95% of amount from your saving account. So it's a deviation detection. You are detecting that deviation. Link analysis, finding relationship. So in this way, all applications are there. And as human perception and machine perception, human are good in recognizing face, understanding spoken words. We are very good in understanding spoken words. Like here, when we write something, like here I have written a text, human have developed highly sophisticated skills. Here I use a space as a demarcation between words. Okay, but when I'm talking, I'm not stopping after a word. Like as I'm not talking like humans have developed. I'm not talking in this way. I'm talking as a continuous stream, and still your brain is trained in such a fashion that it will pick up the word boundaries very effectively. It does not mess up. Okay, so therefore understanding spoken words is a very great capability that we have, and we want machine to understand that one. So this is human perception is good, then reading handwriting. And this is like interesting, distinguishing fresh food from its smell. Like we want to develop a classification system for a machine, say for example, where we want to say that this atom is fresh and this atom is not a fresh, say for example a bread. So it's very difficult to develop such system. But here for a human being, we use our nose as a sensory organ, and then we smell it, and then we immediately classify. So as a human being, we are good, and we want these capabilities, similar capabilities. We want to build similar capabilities to machine. Okay, I have a video. I would like you to see this video. Maybe this video. I will share you this link of this video so that you can also watch on your nearby. It's a machine learning introduction, and here we are going to talk first time about supervised learning and unsupervised learning. What are the different two types of learning? It's supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So let me share you the screen, this one, because you can see this, but maybe you will not be able to listen the voice. So therefore, I request you to just go there and have on your screen also you get it. Let me share you that link. This is a link. I share it in Zoom chat. Okay, I've shared this link. So side by side, we'll see that video, and you also see this. So hopefully everyone is able to see this link I have shared. So it's a machine learning. It talks about machine learning. We don't have to see all the video. I will pause in between to just explain a little more about that one. So let us start. This says the same thing, that every part of our life is being engraved by machine learning. And now it will talk about two different approaches, or maybe three different approaches of machine learning: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. Okay. We will discuss every approach in detail, but it's a sort of introduction to you. In this case, this supervised learning, we have labels, like we have a cat and dog. So we are training our machine. We are training a machine. Like as I said, our brain is also trained to identify based on some features. So like here, we are training our machine that this is a cat. Like we give an image and then we say that it's a cat. So it identifies feature. Okay, the cat has this feature. We give another image and then we say that this is another cat. So it identify, okay, this feature is also there in cat. And then we give image of a dog and then it identifies, and then we give a label also that it's a dog. So when we are training, we are giving labels also. We give a image. When we give image, then machine will extract out features, and we give label that, okay, this image is of a cat, this image is of a dog. And after enough number of examples, the more examples, it's good. So enough training, the system will build a model, and then later on we will give unseen images, means we'll not give the label, and then we expect the machine to identify it correctly, or we'll see whether it identifies it correctly or not. So that's how it works, supervised learning. We call it as supervised learning because we are giving labels initially, we are giving training also. So this is why. So here we're talking about the features, like how the eyes looks like, how the tail looks like. So these are the different features. So machine is extracting those features. Okay. This supervised learning classification is an example of it. So whatever you do classification, it is sound classification, image classification, using words NLP classification. The tweet we have classified as a query, not as an advertisement. So whatever classification we do, it's a supervised learning, and there are different large number of algorithms are there. So some of them are explained here. When we will use Veka to classify, we will see many algorithms there. So decision tree is a popular algorithm. Naive Bayes is an algorithm based on statistics. Linear regression is there. Support vector machines are there, SVM. So these are the many number of algorithms are there for classification. So classification is a supervised learning class. Why it is unsupervised? Because we don't know what we are looking for. It's interesting. We don't know what we are looking for. So we have data, but we don't know what we are expecting. So we just want to form groups based on some features. based on some segregation, that the data should be segregated. Here, in case of images of dog and cat, you can segregate them based on color, based on size, based on shape. So maybe we get same dogs and cats in same group based on color, so they are having same color, so they are together. So it's okay, it's a correct segregation, it's correct group. Maybe you're expecting dog and cat, but it's again based on color, they are same. So like you have large data and you are exploring it. It's like just exploring it. You want to know what is you, so you are you don't know what you actually want. So it's a insight, you want insight of that one, but exactly what you know, you don't know what you want. So therefore it's unsupervised learning. Like we don't have labels, predetermined label, so that's why it is unsupervised label, unsupervised learning. And clustering is an application of it. Here, clustering and association mining are the two applications of unsupervised learning. Both algorithms we are going to see, and how clustering is to be done and how association mining is done. That also we are going to explain. We will actually work on some data set. K-means is a popular algorithm. Hierarchical K-means is another. Hierarchical algorithms are there. And then for association mining, a priori algorithm and genetic algorithms are also used for finding out patterns in an unsupervised manner. So these are two examples, two learning approaches: supervised learning, unsupervised learning. And there is another one approach called as reinforcement. So that's all. We will see up to this one is required. So here basically we have introduced with two terminology, the three learning approaches. We talked about supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and uh, reinforcement learning. Let us move forward. I will talk about classification tomorrow. I just want you to introduce with this Veka, because we have almost reaching to our time. I will talk about this tomorrow. This is a software that we are supposed to install, machine learning with Veka. In our Google Classroom, we have shared you how to get that particular algorithm, this software, from where you get this Veka that we have mentioned. You can see this one in Google Classroom, how to get this one. The links of that are given from this source course.net. And we need SPMF also, but tomorrow we will be working on this Veka. So you download this Veka, that is important. And TextPad also, if you have any editor is available, then it's okay, but TextPad is also okay there, so you can download that one. So this Veka we are going to use. So I just introduce in short about Veka, and then we will move forward. Tomorrow we will see how to use this Veka. So this Veka is a machine learning tool. This is a bird. It's developed by Waikato University of Technology, and Veka files are like this one. So this Veka you download this application. So tomorrow we'll do the classification. We'll start with classification with supervised learning. We'll come up with some examples. We have some data sets available that we will use. If we want to work on our own data set, then we'll see how to use on our own data set. So this is what we will do tomorrow in classification using Veka. So I will explain a little bit about classification tomorrow before starting this one, the actual demonstration. So I hope it works. And if you have any question, any queries, then we can discuss about that because it's already where time is up. So any comments, anything, any queries that we will discuss, and then we will stop.
Yeah, Maniji, this is Vijay Patil. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I think this was really good. Great introduction and very engaging. So really looking forward to doing some exercises tomorrow. So great start.
Great. Yeah. Anyone want to ask something so that we can just answer and then we can just close? If no question, then we can stop.